Hi, my name is Kiku Boyant with ReMend. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to championing people on their kidney journey. We're a group of volunteers who've experienced chronic kidney disease, dialysis, and/or transplantation, and who have chosen to help encourage, empower, and hopefully inspire people going through their kidney journey. We've created Kidney Conversations with ReMend to have an open dialogue about all things kidney related. This month, we're talking about how you can optimize your doctor appointment with your nephrologist. Our panelists today are ReMend mentors Charmaine Griffith, Mike Harris, and Daniel Tapia. They'll be providing details about their kidney journey experiences. We're also very grateful to have Dr. Steven Steinberg, retired CEO and Medical Director for Balboa Nephrology Medical Group, and Cindy Polis, Care Management and Education Nurse for BNMG. A very big welcome and thank you all for being here. Again, sorry about the delay. Today, we're here to discuss how to optimize your nephrology appointment. I didn't show the disclaimer, but we'll go over some tips and important questions you may want to ask. And we'll also have a Q&A a little later. So please type your questions in the Q&A section. I see there are a couple of questions in there right now. Just saying hello. Thank you very much, everyone, for doing that. I appreciate it. Okay, so welcome. So let's jump in here. First, actually, let's hear a little bit about each mentor's kidney journey, the type of dialysis, how long you were on dialysis before transplant, and what ReMend means to you. And, let's start with, look at Charmaine. I always start with you. Let's start with Charmaine, huh?
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. Basically, my kidney journey started about 25 years ago. And my original problem wasn't diabetes or anything like that. It was just a problem with reflux with my ureter tubes that wasn't caught from the pediatrician. That went on for about 10 years before it was caught. And so I went on about 22% for about 20 years or so. And then I started on hemodialysis. I think it was 1996. And when my GFR dropped right around 20%, I was put on the waiting list. So I didn't have to wait for a kidney too long. I dialyzed for about 7-8 months. Transplanted the first time with a cadaver that lasted about 3 years. And then I went back on dialysis again for about 6 months. And then I switched over to peritoneal dialysis, which is the home dialysis. And I did both. I did the cycler and I did the manual bags, life changer for me. Man, I took that machine in those bags everywhere I went.
Me too.
Yeah, everywhere, like traveled. And I mentioned that my husband at the time and we used to take everything up to the racetrack and go motorcycle racing and stuff like that, and skydiving and just all kind of crazy stuff. Anyway, and then I transplanted again after being on dialysis about 4 years. I transplanted again with a cadaver kidney the second time, and that's been that'll be 18 years, July 4th. And
right on.
Yeah, and so I came into to know ReMend through my social worker at the dialysis clinic. I wanted to give back and share my experience with others and give them hope, and because there just wasn't anything really like this when I was going through a lot of stuff, and I thought it might be good. So yeah,
awesome.
So he turned me on to ReMend. Yeah,
and we're lucky that he did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, Daniel. How about you? Daniel's one of our ReMend mentors as well. Would you like to share your kidney journey experience?
Sure. Mine is the classic. When you go to the doctor and they told you're sick, you need to take care of yourself, there's something wrong with your kidneys, and you just don't do anything. It happened to me late 1999, early 2000s when they saw. I went to the doctor for some reason. They say you got blood in your urine. It's a lot of protein that you're dropping out. You might want to check it out. And I was like, fine. And my blood pressure was so high, they gave me these pills to take to lower it. But in 2000, I didn't care that much about myself, I guess. I didn't take the pills. A couple years passed by, went to the doctor again, and they did a biopsy. They said, yeah, your kidneys are damaged. You got about 10 years. There's nothing we can do at this point. Just keep taking the medicine for blood pressure. There's no symptoms. You don't feel anything. You feel like you're fine. And being asymptomatic, you in my case, I didn't do anything. Yeah, fast forward 9 years, and I was in Vegas partying on with my brother, and I always say this, it was like 9 o'clock on a Friday, and after 2 beers, I was throwing up, and I was in bed, and I just couldn't do anything. When I come back, I went to the doctor, and then they said, you got to go to the emergency room right now. Your creatinine is 1420, and your kidney function is under 2%. So that's when it hits you, reality hits you, and it's like, okay, this is it. The dialysis journey to me was it was a harsh one. When I was in hemodialysis, it didn't sit pretty well with me. I felt like I was going to die. Like that's it. This is it for me. A few months on that, I went to peritoneal dialysis, and like Charmaine as well, it was a life changing. I was able to go back to work. I did my dialysis at night for 12 hours. I chose the long period, but I felt great.
And you were on the cycler?
Yes, on that cycler. I did it at home every night for 12 hours, but I mean, half of the night I was connected, but I mean, half of the day I was connected, and the other half was like nothing happened. I was eating better, I was drinking better, more liquids, I should say. And I went back to work, and I didn't travel like my other compadres did, but I was able to almost have like a regular normal life until 2013, when my brother came out with a kidney. I mean, he was a match 96% compatible, and that happened in 2013 on Halloween. I got my kidney, and till now it's about 7 years, and everything's great. Yeah, you got to take your medicines every day, but other than that, everything is peachy.
And how did you find ReMend?
Yeah, I was gonna say that the reason that I joined ReMend, I always thought that, people lucky enough like us to get a kidney and to get off dialysis and really kind of go back to normal, you feel that need to like give back a little bit, or at least do something. I wish when I was in dialysis, somebody will come and talk to me, or it was a group or a club or somebody or something that you can talk to people or ask questions that you maybe afraid to ask your doctor, people that have been going or are going through the same situation as you do. I was at my doctor's, Dr. Bello in Chula Vista, on his office, and I saw the poster on the wall. And, ReMend, I read about it. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And I joined, I think in 2014. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's my
Glad
story.
to have you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, Mike.
Hi.
How about you? Mike is another one of our fabulous ReMend mentors. Please share, the experience you had with dialysis.
So my kidney journey started in 2006. I was newly married, decided that I should start taking care of myself. So the first trip was to the dentist. I sat in the chair. The dental hygienist took blood pressure on one arm, took it on the other arm, and then promptly walked out of the room. The dentist came in, took my blood pressure, asked, do you know about your blood pressure? And I said, no. They said, it's 180 over 120. And I said, that sounds good. That sounds like a solid, strong number. And they said, no, that's not good. You need to go see a doctor immediately. The dentist said the last time they saw a patient with a blood pressure this high, when he walked him out to his car, he had a stroke right in front of him. So I said, don't walk me to my car. I'll just go to the doctor. And so trip to the doctor, labs led to a kidney biopsy. Kidney biopsy led to a diagnosis of glomerular sclerosis, which is a hardening of the kidney, the filters in your kidney, as well as polycystic kidney, so a double whammy. So at that time, I probably had 20%. And like Daniel says, I just said, well, you know what, I don't feel bad. So, no dialysis, but definitely get me on that transplant list and we'll work through it. A couple years later, about, again, 2009, 2010, I started passing out, falling asleep, and I couldn't control it. So Like I'd get home from work around 4 o'clock, and then I would be asleep for 5 hours and have no idea that I actually fell asleep, and then wake up to my wife waking me up at 9 o'clock at night. So I get 5 hours of sleep, I go to sleep, and then wake up at 7 o'clock. And I had about 12 hours of sleep, but it felt like I had 10. So not a lot of good rest. And so that was then told, you should really go on dialysis, which I did. I started with peritoneal dialysis, and it was great. The first time I had my first exchange, I felt amazing. And I actually went home and cleaned my entire house. That's how much energy I had. And I hadn't had that much energy in years.
Mm-hmm.
So, peritoneal was great for about a year. I ended up getting an infection, which is common, and I somehow couldn't fight it. And so I ended up in the hospital. The peritoneal tube was taken out, and I had to go on hemodialysis. So they put a catheter in to my chest, and I started hemo that way. Eventually, at the same time they put the catheter in, I had a fistula put into my left arm. And once it matured, I started hemodialysis. I was on hemodialysis for about another year and a half, almost 2 years. And then in 2013, in August at 11 o'clock at night, I got a phone call and was told that I was a #1 match to a kidney or a kidney transplant. It was from a cadaver kidney. And the doctor said it was a great match. I'm not sure what the percentage was, but he had said that it was the best match that he had seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, then let's do this. And fast forward to today, it's been will be 8 years in August, and I'm doing fine. Blood pressure is actually, I just took it yesterday, it was 114/74. So that's that's a good, strong, solid number.
That is a solid number.
So I got into ReMend right after the transplant. I was taking returning all of the medication, all the bags, every kind of needle that I needed to not use anymore because I had a functioning kidney that didn't need anything for hemodialysis or peritoneal. So I was returning it back to my peritoneal dialysis doctor, and I met a gentleman named Dennis who was involved in ReMend. So we got to talking, and I'm a teacher at heart. So I felt like this is a great way to, again, educate new people and anybody about kidney function, kidney transplant, any type of dialysis. And so I've been a part of it ever since. That was around 2013.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're so lucky to have you.
Thank you.
As part of our team. So, and I'm also a patient. I was diagnosed many years ago with a rare vasculitis disease. And part of that was, high blood pressure. And, I was very young, thinking I was invincible. Don't feel bad today, so I'm not going to take my meds. Didn't take my meds. And when I turned, so that was about when I was, 18 or 19. And when I turned 30, I found out I had to go on dialysis, and I had no idea. I didn't even know, I had an idea of what it was, a scary idea, but this education wasn't around like this, like it is now. And so, I'm grateful for ReMend, not only as, executive director of the organization, but just as a mentor. I really enjoy, hearing everyone's story and trying to help educate them about what's going on with their kidney journey. But so, I was on PD, I was on hemo, and eventually I received a transplant about almost 18 years ago. Charmaine and I are kind of on the same track, but and I'm great, feeling good. So so that's a little bit, about some of our ReMend mentors and things that you can expect when you are working with us. We love to share our stories with you, and most importantly, we like to hear your stories. So so here, today we're here to discuss how to optimize your doctor's appointment, right? So one thing I just want to say that people might not think about is get to the core issue at your appointment. You have a certain amount of time with your nephrologist, any of your doctors. You always have a certain amount of time, but it's really important just to get to, the core issues that you have, and writing things down will help. Mentors, is this something that you've done? Do you guys write down questions? What you have tips on that?
Yeah, I used to write questions down all the time because I would forget. you know, there was a point where I would think like, okay, yeah, I'll ask this, then I'll get to the appointment, and then it goes so fast and you're just overwhelmed with all the information, and then you leave, you're like, oh, what, you know, kind of thing. So
Right.
I just started writing it down, and I would just, you know, hand it over to Dr. Berger, who, man, he followed me through my whole journey. So, and it's just, you know, he's just very patient and very awesome. So yeah, so it helped me a lot.
You know, I'm recording my calls. Like I'll tell my doctor, I bring my phone, and because I forget stuff all the time, there's a little memo recorder. So I bring that in and I record the whole thing. And usually if I'm by myself, I can play it back for my husband and say, here's what happened, here's what's up. So you know, writing, recording, whatever works for you, but that's really important to get, you know, everything you need to say in at your appointment. Another thing, a question that people might think of, you know, they're usually shocked when they get their diagnosis. I was, when you receive a diagnosis of chronic kidney disease or end-stage renal disease. Going to my first appointment, like I said, I sat there and waited for the doctor to tell me what was going on. I just didn't know what to ask. So here are some of the things you may consider asking at your first nephrology appointment. Why have I been referred to you, Dr. Steinberg? What's going on? What's the reason my kidneys aren't working properly? I was wondering how do you, and Cindy, how do you make the patient feel a sense of urgency? Dr. Steinberg.
I usually think it's important to explain basically number one, what the kidneys do. A lot of people not quite sure what the kidneys do. So number one, it's along with the liver, it's one of the organs that gets rid of all the poisons in your body. I also tell them that's progressive disease, but there may be some ways to, if not cure, to slow up kidney failure. And then I also remind them that although they're feeling well now, and they don't see any effect from this, that it can, you know, it can make them very sick and even kill them. So it's important that they pay attention to this, and that if our visits work correctly, they won't be very sick. If we do this right, they won't get sick or get permanent damage. Really, the point is not to feel sick and then come in. The point is to get treated with a modality or therapies or meds or have a plan before you get sick. Most people don't understand the planning and the urgency to do this before you get sick.
Right. Cindy, do you have any input on that? How do you're muted.
Oh, there I am, sorry. Couldn't get my finger there fast enough.
So how do you, you know, instill a sense of urgency? Like what are when you first meet someone that's just been diagnosed with CKD?
Yeah, you know, typically the patients I talk to as a result of, you know, not managing self-care, not managing blood pressure, diabetes, and as a result, there is kidney damage. So, you know, I think what I really try to do is enforce maybe the way that they were managing their health before. And now this is the way we need to manage our health moving forward. So whatever we were doing in the past wasn't working. So these are new measures and new guidelines of maybe preserving your renal function now. And this is how we're going to do it, and really get them involved in managing their own care and knowing what to be familiar with and understanding and recognizing, you know, taking your blood pressure, watching your sugars.
Right.
So
Okay.
that kind of sense of safety and urgency, like, you know, now
Yeah.
time to bring out the big guns, you know, we're
Right.
talking about your kidneys now.
Right. Okay. You know, here's another question, and mentors, please chime in if you have a thought. But, you know, what stage of kidney disease am I in, and what does that mean? Like, what is Dr. Steinberg, the other day we were talking about this, you had a fantastic response. what do the stages mean? Why do we have them? You're muted, by the way.
I think the thing that's that you have to realize that the stages allow us to plan. Again, in kidney disease, when you have you're really part of a team with the nurses and the educators, social workers, dietitians. All of these things are working as a team to help really control and treat your disease and pick out a modality. That's why you're there. The stages allow us to do some planning and thinking. Obviously, if you're stage 1 or 2, which are, the beginning, there's things that we want to do to prevent kidney disease: your diet, your meds, the treatment of your hypertension or your diabetes. That's what we're trying to do here. As you progress, we have to start thinking about maybe preparing you for treatment, such as dialysis or home dialysis, seeing if you have someone in your family who can give you a transplant. Each of the different stages allow us to prevent, treat, and then plan going forward. Remember, unlike some of your other treatments, you're going to be an active participant. You're going to have to change your diet, take your meds, understand your disease, and you have to pick a modality and be active in this. If you're not active, it's going to be difficult. If you're not active, and to some of you, you have barriers, extra barriers to your care, transportation, insurance, education. If you're not active and work with your team, it's going to be harder for you.
You briefly mentioned diet and exercise, et cetera. Are these some of the things that a patient or person can do to slow down or delay the reverse or decline of the kidney function?
I think diet diet can really help, but diet helps by the special diet that you'll be told to have will, of course, have less toxins. Less toxins, less work for the kidney. Less work for the kidney will last longer. Kidney lasts longer, more time to plan and or avoid kidney failure if that's possible. But the thing about all of this is that following your diet is also important, not just for the kidney disease, it's for a lot of times how you got your kidney disease. Remember, the diet is also important for diabetes, and the diet is also important for your high blood pressure. So it's a lot of stuff is specific for your kidney disease, but a lot of patients, the majority of patients nowadays, it's the hypertension, the diabetes, the hardening of the arteries, the overweight, the high cholesterol, all of those things got them to have their kidney failure. And this is why the diet's important, not just to slow up the kidney failure, but also to treat the disease, because there's no use treating the kidney disease if the rest of the body isn't taken care of.
A really quick question about diet. Someone did ask through I think it was through our Facebook page, can we talk about itchiness? That has to deal with phosphorus, right? What are some of those, why is watching your phosphorus intake so important? And what are some of the things that you'd never even realize that phosphorus is in? Cindy?
Yes, it's very important. And I believe, watching your phosphorus, like Dr. Steinberg was saying, is going to help overall improve the kidney function. Phosphorus can, that's why doctors are really talking about watching your diet and eliminating certain foods that have high phosphorus, because we really want the kidneys to preserve. And if there's that phosphorus, your kidneys are going to be working harder. I don't know if Dr. Steinberg has anything else to add on to that.
Charmaine does. You're muted, just letting you know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to add from a patient's perspective, phosphorus was really my nemesis. It was just so difficult for me to keep that under control because I really didn't understand, that, phosphorus is such a large molecule, and then it's just harder for it to be cleansed out or to be cleaned out. And I was always running high all the time, had the parathyroidectomy. I was very symptomatic, restless leg, insomnia, itching. Like it was just a hot mess. And, we don't think that the dietitians or the people who are helping us really know what they're talking about, because they're just telling us what we need to hear or whatever, whatever they need to say to us. But it really is true that I just feel like my experience with in-center dialysis especially was so much more difficult because it was just such a difficult diet to follow. But, there's consequence to that. And so I really did have to learn the hard way that once you get that phosphorus level up, it's just so difficult to get it back down.
Right.
Yeah.
Another question, guys. Why are my labs so important for my appointment? And should I cancel my appointment if I don't have my labs? I think, Cindy, you answered this so well. Please share.
Yes, regardless of whether you have your labs done or not, it's really critical because the doctors can really look at you and see physically your appearance. Maybe there's some edema. They can see the fatigue, maybe the coloring. So it kind of helps them gauge a little bit more about, they can do a weight when you come into your physical appointment. They can check your weight, which is a good determination too of how well your kidneys are functioning because that's where you're retaining extra water. So yeah, to answer, should I still go to my doctor's appointment or do my telemedicine visit? Absolutely. And in terms of labs, for a nephrologist, that's really their only way to gauge, to see the insides. And really, knowing and seeing what the guidelines, and managing your creatinine from the beginning and having that baseline and moving up, within the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks and 4 weeks and 4 weeks to really gauge how fast is the damage how fast is your kidney damaged and progressing or regressing, I guess I should say. And not just that, but there's the hemoglobin. So yeah, the Bible for a kidney patient is really their labs. And this is really how they can report back to the patient about what would be the next intervention. So this is their way of outlining and mapping out a care plan, is to really use those labs. So that's critical. The patients go in and get these done.
Awesome. Dr. Steinberg, did you have any input on that?
Thank you. That was very good, Cindy. I think the point for patients to understand and for the team to understand, the purpose of the visit is to prevent getting sick, because we have ways of treating the illness, whether it's dialysis or home dialysis or transplant. The point is not to get sick. So your visit, if you don't have your labs, still is important. We can see your blood pressure. Do you have edema? Is there something, are your reflexes off? That's pretty late, okay? I hope, we can use the labs. The labs show us the inside and help us plan. And that's why it's so important to have your labs. But the whole point of the visit is to prevent you from getting sick. On the other hand, see if we can ameliorate or change the kidney disease. And on the other hand, slow it up or cure it. But we don't want you to get sick. And that's why you have to be an active participant in your care.
Great. Thank you for that. Another question, how will taking over-the-counter medications affect my kidney health? I know I like when Cindy answers this question because I want to go over the abbreviation that is turning out to be a popular phrase to say. So let's go over what
Yes.
about those over-counter meds?
Yeah, anti-inflammatories, those non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, a big no-no. That would include like a Motrin, right? Advil, naproxen. I think, what else is out there? We have,
Ibuprofen.
yeah, ibuprofen really is a big no-no.
Mhm.
And Dr. Steinberg can add comments to this too, in terms of you're overworking your kidney health. And, just knowing about nephrology, I remember, talking to people and learning about anti-inflammatories way back when, and the damage that they cause on your kidneys. And there's no reversal on that, so that's the big one. I really talk to my patients a lot about is any anti-inflammatory, and use acetaminophen if you're looking for that that pain control. I'm sure Dr. Steinberg has some additional comments on this one.
No, that's very good. I think the thing to understand is the liver removes toxins and puts them in the stool. The kidney removes toxins and puts them in the urine. Anytime you take anything into your body, whether it's your diet or your food, and anytime you take a drug, it's coming to the kidney, and it's going to be effects in the kidney because it's one of its jobs. So non-steroidals are really important, and those are just like Cindy said, the Motrin, the leaves, and all of those meds have to be taken very carefully. And something else, it's all those other meds the other doctors are giving you have to be considered.
Mhm.
Different now because a part of your body is no longer metabolizing or excreting medicines or food that you're in or fluid that you're taking, so that you have to be aware of that. So when you go to another physician, you have to be careful that until at your visit, my other doctor started me on this medicine. Or I used to have my patients call me or my nurse to say, I just went to my cardiologist and started me on this other medicine. Other medicines that you've been prescribed, other medicines that have not been prescribed over the counter, or changes in your diet can affect your health. It's just a new world. That's, when your kidneys don't work, and you have to be very aware of all of those things. Everything counts.
There, since we're talking about medications, there is one person, I don't know if I'm saying this person's name right, Naveen. Some medicines, blood pressure medicines like amlodipine, I'm going to say these wrong.
Amlodipine.
Amlodipine, metoprolol, atrovasti, I can't even go there. All right, so can these meds increase potassium levels? That's one of our questions here.
Some of them can, the beta blockers can, like the metoprolol can, and also the ACE inhibitors can increase your potassium. Nothing can be taken for granted. Everything needs to be examined. And as the patient, you're going to be the one who's going to be giving the information to the team. And as the patient, you're going to be one that has to be aware. Your visit will go a lot better if you come in and say, hi, my doctor put me on, this other doctor put me on this. Can I take it? Versus walking out the door and forgetting to say it, or having somebody pull it out of you. If you come in with your questions and all the changes there, it's going to go faster. Unfortunately, the way medicines run now, we've got 15 or 20 minutes, and everything really needs to be done in that period of time. And so, although your doctor will most likely take longer if longer is needed, but you can really help if you prepare for him or her a list, and you have of questions, and also the changes that have occurred. It's not a game, it's not, you don't win if you keep a secret.
Well, that goes right into our next question here. So what if I'm not truthful about my diet and medications? I mean, you're really only hurting yourself. I mean, what happens when you experience that? I mean, the labs don't lie, right?
Right. Contraindications. That was the word I was looking for yesterday.
I would have never come up with that word.
Yeah.
Well, I've been through, every patient has had periods of time where they're reluctant to talk or actually been untruthful. But I think if I have one message is that when you see your physician, they're there to help. Okay, you don't win if you're working with them. A lot of times, I don't want to mention this, they'll make me restrict my fluid more, or every time I go in there, they tell me I'm doing everything wrong, or they give me another medicine, or they're doing all this stuff, but it's not making me feel any better. So you have this kind of there's always an antagonism, and I would really like patients to know the whole thing is those people, they're trying to help. Okay, the enemy is the disease. And so if you go in and saying, it's going to tell me my potassium's up, or this is going to be happening, more meds, I think attitude to saying they're going to help. I've got to listen. I've got to tell the truth. And I've got to take my diet, and I've got to do this because, the team's going to help me make a modality choice and save my life and ultimately, hopefully get me to a transplant. I think it's really important that when you walk in, it's not just that you have the questions, it's not that you are truthful, but it's also that you train yourself to have the feeling that I need these people to help me and I have to help them too. And actually, if you can't feel that way, you really need to think about changing caregivers, because it's not going away, kidney failure.
Right. It's a team effort.
And
right.
even if it's successful, and even if you have a transplant, it never goes.
Right. Daniel, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I can clearly remember the day. I used to do this all the time. I mean, unfortunately, our diet, or I will say the Latino diet, we love cheese and our beans, and they're loaded with phosphorus and all that stuff. You can't stop eating it. I mean, you just can't. You try to nibble on things, to be good with the labs when you go there, but it is so hard when it's something that you used to have all the time. So I remember the day when I went to the doctors with the labs, and I knew they were going to be bad. I knew my phosphorus was going to be like super high. And I did this prior, like, I don't know what happened. I've been good. I've been taking my meds. And the doctor looked at me, and that dietitian was there, the pharmacist was there. And the doctor straight up said, like, look, I'm going to be fine. He's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. You're going to die. I mean, keep eating like this. Keep doing something bad's going to happen to you, not to us. We're here to help you. And I remember just going like, that's right. I mean, it's me. And Dr. Steinberg said this before. There's no one better to take care of you but you. You have to be your own doctor. You have to learn those numbers. You need to know the limits of those numbers of the phosphorus, the potassium. You need to. Most people don't even know. They go there like, yeah, is that good? Is that bad? No, they need to. You get to learn to read those labs, those numbers, and really know, like, oh man, I went way over my potassium because I did this and that. So you have to be your own advocate, and if you really want to be successful. And my point with this is, like, I was really bad until I got to the point that it wasn't. They got to the point that I was like, I need to take care of myself.
Right.
Yeah, enough with the pity, enough with the I'm sick, and now with it, and I did it. And after that, I really started doing really well, and I became the #1 in my clinic because they got a number, and I was like #1, more healthy. Because I followed everything they told.
As you're talking about that, what can you do to feel your best after dialysis? Let's hear your experience, Charmaine. What did you do after dialysis? I mean, a lot of people are exhausted afterwards, but not everyone. I felt pretty good after dialysis, and it depends on what dialysis modality you choose, whether it's in center, PD, et cetera. What about when you were in center, Charmaine?
When I was in center was really hard for me, as I shared, because of really my own non-compliance, I believe. now that we can all be truthful and honest about, you know, about everything.
Always.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And even I just wanted to kind of go back just really quick about the diet and all that, is that it's okay to say that you're struggling, you know, to the staff. Like, that's what everybody's there for.
Yeah.
You know, people know that it's hard, and I didn't do that. I, like Daniel, was like, what? Like, no, like they have to be wrong. You know, the labs have to be wrong. Like, I've been doing really good.
Right.
But yeah, so it is a struggle, but it's okay to say that you're struggling with it, you know, because then maybe diets can be modified, recipes or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, after in-center, I slept a lot because it was just really difficult for me. I was just always tired. I was still trying to, you know, still grieving from that loss of a life that I had before dialysis. And so there was probably a little bit of depression in there too. And but I tell you, like after I started PD, like it was, you know, after that, like there was a couple months where there was like an adjustment period where my body kind of had to get used to the fluid and all of that. And after that happened, though, I just rested, you know, when I felt like I needed to rest, and I followed my treatment, you know, the prescription for my treatment. And that was really it. That's really it. The best thing that you can do for yourself is to follow the regimen that your team has for you. You know, and I'm saying that from personal experience.
Right.
Yeah, in hindsight.
I agree.
And-
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, you know, and the best thing I know, what can I do to, I think really a good teaching point coming out of this too is, if you're not honest with yourself and you're not honest with your physician on your medications, then whatever they're giving you to help your whole system, especially, let's just take, for example, your phosphorus. You know, if you're not eliminating that in your diet and you're not, or you are eating more phosphorus and you're telling the physician you're not eating phosphorus, then there's no way of really managing, engaging. Okay, now do we need to start binders? Now do we need to start, you know, watching calcium? So the more honest you are and the better you follow your protocol, the better that the physician can manage your care. Because especially for the phosphorus, and now we have to start binders. You know, a lot of patients that I talk to, they hate the way the binders feel and constipation. And so now you have another new set of problems versus if you were just honest in the beginning, then we can better properly treat and manage overall. But compromising one system is going to lead into another problem with another system.
Right. Great point. You know, we are getting close to the time, but you know, everything that's going on in the world right now, you know, the states opening up COVID-19 because of all of that. A lot of people have asked, you know, to vaccinate or to not vaccinate. And, you know, I think all of the mentors here have been vaccinated, right, guys? You know, I was really hesitant in the beginning, and I heard that, you know, my nephrologist actually said, I'm telling all of my patients to get vaccinated. And I still kind of felt weird about it. Like I was still like 60-40, like, okay. And then I talked to you, Dr. Steinberg, about kidney conversations with ReMend. And you really helped me understand why I should get vaccinated. Do you remember what you said? Probably not.
My age, maybe I could forget, but I think I remember some of it. So I think you should get vaccinated. The problem with vaccination and kidney patients, who are either uremic or pre-dialysis or on dialysis or transplant, may not work as well. It's not that it doesn't work, but that your immune system is weak. Okay, you may need not a vaccinated, you may need more vaccination. And we often find when we were vaccinating for hepatitis, the patients needed more immunization, more shots. The problem with vaccination in kidney patients is it may not work because your immune system is weaker and may not mount a response that somebody who is not immunosuppressed is. But just think about, you're hanging around in a dialysis unit, you're in close proximity to people, your family is outside the world and bringing into your bubble the chance to get sick. there's no reason not to be vaccinated for a patient who has kidney disease outside of a specific problem that your physician, might be aware of that I'm not. But
Right.
vaccination is extremely important for every patient with kidney disease
Mhm.
and frankly, every person in our society who is able to be vaccinated ought to be vaccinated.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you for that. And anyone have any closing thoughts here? We've answered most questions. Let me see. I just got another. Oh, thank you. And I wish I could pronounce your name. I really can't. Can either Charmaine, can you pronounce this wonderful person's name? You're muted. Well, thank you for joining the webinar today. So I want to thank all of you. Let me see. I have a little slide here I want you all to see. We do plan on continuing kidney conversations with ReMend each month. Next month, it will be July 29th for the next kidney conversation. But please tell us what you'd like to discuss. Please, you can email me directly, info@sdremend.com. You can also check out our Facebook page and ask questions there, private message me there if you'd like. But I just want to thank all of our panelists today. I mean, thank you for being so open, sharing your stories. Dr. Steinberg, Cindy, just great to have these, educators here. Any last parting words?
Thanks for including me. It's wonderful meeting everybody on this panel as well. Best of luck
Thank
and
you guys.
be safe and blessings to everybody.
And please, guys, reach out to us at 858-650-5001 or visit us online at remend.org. We also have an Instagram page too. But thank you so much. And yeah, like us on Facebook. Peace out.